So, Caitlin, we're going to talk about forgiveness this morning. My interest has been re-peaked around forgiveness because I'm helping a client at the moment, or have been helping a client to kind of bring forgiveness into his leadership toolkit. And I was interested in forgiveness because in the creative industry, we talk a lot about kind of creative risk taking. But of course, if someone takes a risk and gets it wrong, then you probably need to forgive them. And I know you and I have been in facilitated sessions on forgiveness. They've been fascinating. On the Clean Interviewing course, we used forgiveness as a topic to interview people about because
the different processes and structures and models for forgiveness. Yeah.
And suddenly you realise that forgiveness, it's got a complexity to it. And so today, what I wanted to do was ask you some questions about what you know about forgiveness, a bit about those processes and structures, and think about, what's the impact? How does forgiveness impact on leadership? And what does it mean for leaders when they can forgive?
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with, what do you, after the work that you've done on forgiveness, what do you know now about forgiveness?
So I know that it's different for different people, but mistaking those differences can lead to issues.
Mm-hmm.
So some people forgive all on their own. Forgiveness is something that they do inside themselves. They release you from whatever it is whatever transgression there was. So there's that. Some people do it all on their own. Some people it's to do with. So it's to do with the two of you, or them and you. It's like, well, when they do this and I do this, then I can forgive them. But I need to see a certain amount of this before I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some people have it very much in relationship, and others it's an act that they do on their own. And the other thing so there's those differences. There's a lot of differences. But the other thing is the complexity of where the transgressions come from. So, for example, when we've modeled forgiveness with certain people, we've had people go, oh, I realize I'm holding them in contempt for something that they didn't know I'd secretly held them to an agreement about. So there's that, I'm going to punish you for not being able to read my mind.
Yeah.
I had expected X, but I got Y, and therefore I'm angry. And so one of the things about forgiveness is forgiveness to do with your ability to update your own expectations of people.
Yeah.
That's a whole area I think that's very interesting. Another is that sort of forgiveness. For some people, they realize that actually I'm wishing for a better yesterday. And so you've set yourself up to fail because you can't have a better yesterday. You can have the yesterday you had. You can feel differently about it. So there's the not wishing for a better yesterday. That for some people, the way that they've structured forgiveness means that they are constantly trapped. They've placed themselves in a bind that takes attention. And the other thing is, whether you're in high-end business, we were working with a senior leadership team yesterday, and they're saying this, and this, we've all got professional reactions about. But this, or something like this happens, and we're 9, we're 12, where our reactions, even though we're senior leaders, and it's so startling to us when we can't, is that we will go into retreat, and because we don't speak about it, because it's unprofessional, it becomes unspeakable, and then I can't forgive you because I can't socialize it. I can't check my assumptions. So the other thing about forgiveness that we've looked at is it is a skill, not at an individual level. It's a group level skill.
I noticed in the sessions that we ran last week that also there's different types of forgiveness. Small, forgiving small things, and then the type of forgiveness you need to forgive a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were learning from the conversation that we were having as a group is that it is a skill that you can learn. You're talking about it on the group level, and we were talking at an individual level. Someone described it as a sport. It's a sport. It's something that you can learn. You can learn how to forgive, but there are different types of it.
And on a serious level, you have to be careful about forgiveness, because you don't want forgiveness to be an act of making yourself re-vulnerable to the same situation.
Mm.
So ideally, for it to become an anti-fragile thing, for us to have grown from whatever happened, the forgiveness strategy should also have us be aware, be interested, oh, actually, there was data available to me before that happened. How will I pay better attention to that data in the future?
Yeah.
So that I go around having to forgive people for transgressing things that actually I could have guessed that was going to happen.
So in summary, what do you know now about the kind of structures for forgiveness?
I think I know about lots of things, which is it's really important for us to have emotional literacy about what it means to us, what it means in our families, and what it means in our workplaces or our learning spaces. Yeah. It's really important to know that when we use a term, there are different models, because A, that makes us more intelligent. We can try out different models. And B, it makes us not assume that that person will respond to the same steps that we would, because that's not how, they don't do it like that.
Yeah. So you were working with a leadership team yesterday. So how does knowing how to forgive impact on leadership?
So slightly differently, what they were modeling, first of all, was how they don't forgive. When do they go in? And then what are the conditions under which they would socialize it, they would trust that they could say it. And then actually they didn't have any trouble forgiving, so long as they felt, because there was enough safety and belonging for them to have a shared agreement for how we raise things. Forgiveness, even for the different kinds of forgiveness, the forgiveness came naturally. What they needed was to understand and be happy with the fact that each of them can be a bit unforgiving under certain circumstances. And to be able to say that was a big part of the whole group level forgiveness skill.
And then what happens? What does that then mean for these leaders?
Well, for this particular team, what it means is that when they are unhappy, when they feel that somebody might be transgressing something, they're actually going to go into that feeling. They're going to say, hey, I'm having a sensation, or do you know what? I'm feeling that this is not what we agreed, or I'm feeling silenced. And they're going to say these things out loud. They're going to have a period of safe experimentation, and they're going to find out what's the value for the business decision that was instead of keeping that down, letting it out. And then after 2 weeks, they're going to reevaluate how much bringing out their feelings they're going to do in their team meetings.
What do you think it means for leaders when they can forgive? Like you're talking about a group dynamic here. What about individual leaders who can forgive? What do you think what's the kind of impact it might have on them?
I think at some level, the meta message to their teams are, I'm a grown up. I'm not a toddler. I'm not operating out of a 6-year-old strategy. I'm an adult. I know that people make mistakes. I know that people say things and then can't keep up with them. And I have the skills to deal with this. You don't have to be frightened of me.
So it creates a safe space for collaboration, experimentation, creative thinking, risk-taking.
And it has to be with clear boundaries. You do not want to be a leader who can forgive everyone, which then leads everybody else to go, hang on a minute, then rules don't count. So there's got to be a balance.
So there's got to be a balance, and forgiveness has to have boundaries.
Yeah.
So what can people who are interested to find out more about forgiveness, how can they find out more?
Well, they could, for one-to-one session, either of us could do a one-to-one session if they want to find out their individual models, but also either of us could run a team session. They don't have to take very long. They could take, an hour and a half, 90 minutes if you've got a team of up to 6, maybe a little bit longer if you've got a bigger team, because you have to sort of teach to it and then get them to practice between themselves. But about 90 minutes, you could use it as a team literacy tool. And then from there, probably a second session to then go, okay, how, given the differences, how could we do forgiveness within our team? Yeah.
So if people are interested, get in touch. And we
And if
can
you want
work
to
with a team, or we could do an open course. Could do
oh yeah,
something open on forgiveness.
yeah, if you've got a larger organization, we could run an open course and see who within your organization wants to come, or if you just want to do it but you'd like to do it in a group, come and tell us.
Yeah.
Clean for Teams, the systemic modeling training that we do at Clean Learning, that has the tools, it trains the tools for this.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's nice when it's a tricky subject, sometimes it's nice to be facilitated by somebody who really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, great. Lovely, Caitlin. Thanks for those
you.
insights on forgiveness.